Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, as much as shills they are, they had an interesting interview at one point where they talked about basically a breakaway civilization, and that's what we have going on. Is where, we're stuck on this. We're stuck in a time. We're basically stuck in time where nothing has really progressed in our lives as a whole. But meanwhile, the government and all these God knows what NGOs and whatever the fuck you want to call them are busy reaching for the stars and beyond. And all we can do is speculate and try to figure things out with the limited information that we get. But this stuff is happening. And I mean, this is the stuff that I wish everyone would kind of focus on now because, the Trump presidency and all these other things, they're kind of fucked. I mean, you can cast your vote and this and whatnot, but the real shit is going on here and elsewhere. And politics and all this other crap is a distraction that we can't really do much about. We should talk about it and point out the obvious, but there's only so much we can do on that end. But this other stuff is huge,
Well,
and it
what
gets
troubles me is that I had a tendency to look forward to seeing the stars. Like I tend to see, technology as an extension of nature itself, trying to reach its tendrils out into the universe and experience everything. But
yeah.
what you're kind of laying out here is a group of people that want it all to themselves and to leave us
Uh,
all on a dying planet, basically, right?
well, yeah, or not even maybe just have us die and then have the planet to
Yeah,
themselves.
even better.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to know exactly. I mean, you have a guy named Dr. Yang Hai Chi at Oxford talking about how there are already invisible aliens amongst us and they're interbreeding with us and they're doing it for climate change. And it sounds fucking retarded when you first look at it, but if you read between the lines and you know that they're spraying barium and aluminum, via geoengineering into our skies, they're setting up 5G and all this technology, it really begs the question, are they terraforming our planet and trying to turn it into something else like a Venus like planet or something where other beings, which I don't know what they are, I'm not going to pretend I do, but there's potential they exist. And maybe they're trying to terraform it and working with them
This very
for
much
their own.
reminds me
For,
of the Anunnaki story. Sitchin said that the
huh.
the Anunnaki aliens came here and seeded life to be their slave race here, but the purpose was to get metals out of the ground. They were into mining. They used us to mine. They were getting
Yeah.
these metals because their ozone on their planet was depleting, and they needed these elements or whatever in
Huh.
their atmosphere to keep them alive. So if their atmosphere was failing and they already have this place which kind of works, like maybe they're
Yeah.
terraforming this to live here. If
Yeah, they
this
might. I
fucking
mean, I
Sitchin was
don't.
right.
I
Zechariah
read.
Sitchin.
I read. I mean, when I got into this conspiracy stuff years ago, I heard about the Anunnaki. I didn't look too much into it just because there wasn't a whole lot of information on it. Um, but that, I'd love to hear more about it, and that's really interesting. I've heard similar stories like that about, the aliens, if they exist or whatever, they really are interested in metals. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
I think it was even saying like, with if they met Hitler or whatever, that they really were like interested in. I forget which metals. I think it was like palladium and titanium, like these metals that I guess they couldn't get elsewhere. I mean, it's extremely bizarre stuff, and I don't know, man. Like, do you think how can we prove that these things are more than just like I think there's truth to them, but it's kind of like where do you go from besides just anecdotal details?
There's not many places to go.
Yeah.
I've talked with some people who say that under the influence of psychedelics or deep meditation, they
Yeah.
meet entities from like invisible beings living on top of us, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
and like you were talking about CERN, and could go over that. You said there was the stated goal,
Oh
and then
God.
there's the other goal.
Yeah. Well, CERN is a fucking it's heavy ass shit. And I mean, if you just look at it as like a child, it's just like this monstrous fucking machine. And they tell us its sole purpose is they're trying to like fire atoms at each other or whatever. And like, how the fuck do you comprehend that? How do you comprehend even be able to isolate an atom and firing at something? And so, I guess the base secular or whatever what they tell us is that they're using this for, I don't even know what they say they're using this for, just experimentation, trying to understand the universe, just
You
really
had said there was
basic.
speculation about like a free energy machine or something.
Oh, that was ITER.
Oh,
And they're
gotcha.
and they're connected. But just to finish CERN, CERN is just they try to mask this like, or they tell us, and I'd love to believe and just think it's all goody two shoes that it's just to do experiments and understand how the Big Bang might have occurred or whatever. But like it's like, come on, like, should we really be trying to recreate the Big Bang on Earth, or like what are the implications of this? Is it really safe? And none of these fuckers care,
No,
and I
absolutely
think,
not.
yeah, and I think it very well could be. They're trying to pierce the veil. There's a guy named Richie from Boston who I don't like all his religious stuff, but he did some really interesting videos years ago on CERN, and he basically showed these interviews with these CERN employees, and they just were showing like these normal pictures, and they're using all this weird language, like it's like we're going into another dimension, or like we're lifting the veil, and it's like, bitch, this is just like a fucking photo of stairs. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, every time these fucking weirdos make some breakthrough like this, they always have to frame it like that. There was the quote, I think it was Oppenheimer. He saw the nuclear bomb go off, and he quoted the
Yeah,
Bhagavad Gita, saying, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Like that's what immediately pops into their mind, some weird esoteric shit. And then like the statue
yeah.
of Shiva outside CERN. It's all
Well, it makes you
very
wonder, is
strange.
it just like they're high on their own shit and it's like a big fucking mental masturbation boner for them, or did they work with some entity that we don't understand,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then they did its bidding, and in exchange they got power, recognition, and it's hard to know.